She's already loving life and it's only just started. And this woman at the back's just like, get me off. And I'm sure you guys just want me to cut straight to the chase. What's this? I just wanted to give you an insight as to the thought process that I go through. And actually, not everything I build stays. So let's go ahead and talk about the bane of our existence. Custom supporting on a wooden coaster. Oh, I look at it and just... bleh. Yeah, so this didn't go to plan. This is going to be one of them episodes, isn't it? Hey everybody, how's it going? So thanks for coming along to this ChachoLandia extra episode. This is for episode number 7 where we did the GCI Woodie. So of course you already know that Creator's Block kicked in massively for this one, and I really struggled. And then I had my vaccine and I lost a load of time and I actually managed to pull this off, and I don't even know how. It involved a couple of all-nighters to get this ready. So but anyway, thank you so much for your support and everything for the last episode. Like, every single one that I've been releasing for ChachoLandia has been overwhelmingly positive, even more so than the previous one, and so it's just like growing massively. So thank you. And I did promise to show you my Creator's Block process, and I've kept one of them, right? So for this, and we're going to start this, and of course we're going to be pulling apart loads of other stuff in the episode as well, right? So you already know that. But for this one, we need to go to the back of the park, to this monstrosity. I look at it and just... bleh. So, so this is the original layout. This is actually the third layout that I did. I had a layout that was here, and I had a layout that was a little bit further back, but it was interacting too much with this one here. So this was layout number 3. This was what sort of like got my juices flowing a little bit, and ended up going, no, I need to just do it on a flat piece of land and then see where it fits in the park, rather than trying to fit the coaster to the area. So this is how this coaster originally looked. It comes round the bend into a small airtime bunny hop, and then true to GCI's, there's no brake runs or anything at the bottom. You actually hit the chain at a speed, so that's why you've got this bunny hop, and it dips down again, and then it hits the chain at speed. The chain dogs then get hold of the chain itself and then take it up, and well, you know how it works, right? So this is using the 4-meter method, and this is pre-smoothed. So I've not done any smooth on this one. This is why it looks really janky and really rubbish. And I didn't want to waste my time smoothing it if it wasn't going to stay. So that's kind of why I sort of like just left it and deleted it and abandoned it. So anyway, comes around the first bend and into a bunny hop hill. And then it comes into an overbanked turn, and I wanted it to interact with a path at this point, right? So I wanted to have some kind of sight line, and then it dips down. And the idea was here that there was going to be a bridge that comes across here to give some kind of interaction. And then we come over into a second bunny hop and into an overbanked turn, like a really sharp overbanked turn. And this was where I was originally going to put the queue line entrance. So I was going to have a bit of a feature thing here. And then it was going to fly over the top and then into a double up, and then it was going to come into an airtime down, and then it was going to come round a real tight bend into another dip, and then round another tight bend. And the idea is, right, it was going to come down to ground level at this point, and it was already going to be doing a lot of speed, because it needed quite a bit of speed to get up to this brake run. So I wanted to have this element of being a bit faster paced. There's going to be some kind of element here that was going to have some kind of triggered effects and everything. And then it came round this way and into the brake run, and then comes round and into the station. So a relatively solid layout, right? So it's not bad. It's not. This was like the second worst of the options, but I just didn't like the pacing. So I've just set this to test. I didn't like the pacing of this first bit. It just didn't feel like a GCI. It felt like it was just like hastily put together, and it was thrown into this area just because it fitted rather than because it should have been there. So if you watch this now and it comes over the top of the hill, it comes round this way and then into the first airtime hill. That's fine, there's no issue there. That would be a good airtime hill. The bend would be relatively good, and it's this bit then that it starts getting a bit ropey because it loses speed. It comes into the first bend, the double up, and it comes down, and it's this point here where it's just like, oh, what is this even here for? And then it just gets too tight and too fast around here. So I was like, the pacing is just all wrong. And then I had this thought of, well, actually, how am I then going to put the rest together? So I know that I wanted to have a bridge here, and it was going to come under this airtime hill, over the top of this bunny hop hill, so you had a bit of path interaction. This was going to be a bit of a plaza area, and then you're going to have the photo booth and everything here, and then the queue line was going to be out the back here, and then come round into here. And then it was like, I'm cutting off an entire plaza area with these two pieces of track. It's quite in terms of guest flow, it's not actually a very solid guest flow. Like, I built this path that came around here, and you'd have to come all the way up here to come through. It just didn't feel right in terms of how you would manage guests and everything. So that's why this was rejected, but I haven't had the heart to actually remove the coaster, because it is a relatively solid layout, but it just didn't fit in the park. So I just wanted to point that out. I just wanted to give you an insight as to the thought process that I go through, and actually not everything I build stays. So anyway, let's tear some stuff apart. Alright, so next up then, you've asked me to tear apart the bank building. So here we go, this is the bank building here, and it's actually a relatively simple build to pull apart. It's no real trickery involved in this one. It uses the wooden pieces that come in-game with the Western set. So here are the roof pieces that we have, right? So there's just strategically placed. There's no grid needed, there's no nothing, it's just placed one next to the other. I'm not even sure if that's how they're supposed to be put together, but that's how I've done it. And then on the roof, then we've got the flat wooden roof thing that we've got, and again, this comes in game, so it's like nice and simple to use. I use this, actually, it's the decking. I use this mainly on floors, but I've actually decided to use this as a roof this time. The sign is something a little bit special. It's the haunted house plank that you get in the spooky set, just placed on different heights and different levels and everything. And then this is a Theme Maker's Toolkit letter. I can't remember offhand who it is. I've only just started using it, and I found it because I was looking for a font that was similar to the Swarms, and this was the one that came up. It's actually a really versatile font, but you could actually use a blueprint font if that's what you wanted to do instead. And then we've just got loads of the usual Western paraphernalia stuff. So you've got the 4-meter wall pieces that are in here, and then all of the wood stuff, you know, like the Western, the windows and the doors and the clutter and everything. These are the usual not beams. These are not beams. It's the rail that comes with the actual game. Now, I'm waffling, right? And I'm sure you guys just want me to cut straight to the chase. What's this? And I can't actually select it because it's Theme Maker's Toolkit, and I don't know where the hitbox for it is. I struggled really, really badly with this, so I'm actually going to try and find it in here. It's if I put 1 meter in, does it find it? No, it didn't. If I type iron. Oh no, I don't even know what it is. I can't even find it. Can I do it this way? Hang on. If I move these out of the way. Yeah, so this didn't go to plan. Okay, so let's take this out. Let's just delete everything we possibly can. See, I still can't select it. There we go. It's corrugated tin roof half. So if you search, I know that if you search the workshop for it, right, you're going to find it. And it's recolorable as well, so you can make it different colors. If I actually come back here, you can make it different colors. So if you wanted to, I've chosen like a very specific reddy stroke orange to give it a rust feeling, but you could use black, you could use brown to make it dirty or whatever. And it's two-tone as well, so if you wanted it to be completely the same color, then you absolutely can. So anyway, that's cut to that chase. And then inside here we've got the cash machines. I've used the KPR posters for the saloon set that he did. I think it's he. KPR, I'm sorry if you're not he. Should we say they? Should we be woke and say they? So, this is going to be one of them episodes, isn't it? Yeah, so anyway, I've used those KPR posters that come in game. And then again, it's just all of the wooden sets around here. This is the trim that comes with, I think, the vintage pack. and I've just put this in because it looks very westerny, right? So I just wanted to include those. And then down this way, I've just used the haunted house beam again, just to like cap off. I don't want to say cap off, it's probably the wrong position, but just to finish off that skirting board effect. And then I've got a couple of screens around so that I can do some menus and everything later on down the line when I bother to do any kind of like posters and things. And then up here we've just got your normal roofing, and that's got some kind of a trim that is added to it. And these are just the beams, right? So there's nothing particularly special. And all I do with this, by the way, is I take a beam and I align it to surface, and then I have the angle snap on and I bring it down, and then that means it's completely flush to the actual roof itself, to the piece that you're using. And then to do like this area, I'll then do two like this, and then select both and copy it so that you're on the normal XY axis. That's actually easier. Then you rotate it round and then you move it into position like that, and then you just sort of like tidy it up and make it look decent. And then underneath here, then we've just got the normal info points that you would use from game. Use the same TMTK font just to bring it to life. And then around here I've just used the Western pillar set coloured white just to give a bit of a border around the actual info stall itself like that. So it just gives a bit of variation. I didn't want to leave it completely blank. I actually wanted to have some kind of a theme to it. And then underneath here I've then just used the fairy tale window boxes and just some Western clutter just to make it look good. And then this here, this is really loud Western music. This is just one from the Thememaker's Toolkit as well. This is awesome. It's a Western saloon sign. So I just wanted to put that around just to, again, give it that really cliche, stereotypical Western theme. And so that's the bank building. The gift shop is built very, very, very similar. It's still using all of the same pieces that I was using over on the bank building. And of course I would do, because I wanted the theme to be consistent. So I'm just going to remove this top layer like this. And then I've used the haunted house panel set to create the ceiling. And I wanted to have a panel ceiling in here. So there you go. I've just move that out of the way. And then inside, you already know how I do my gift shops, right? So it's just all of your shelves with the clutter on it, shelves over on the back wall, all of that sort of stuff. These ones here, these are the planks that actually come with the normal base game. I think these are probably the pirate planks. So I've just used those to create a bit of a border, because I normally use beams, right? Or I normally use something like that, but I wanted to do something different with this one. So there you go. You've got some. You've got something different for a change. And then just put some shops in to make it completely usable and everything. And then the floor, well, of course I'm going to use this floor. Like, surprise, surprise, I've used this floor elsewhere. So it just becomes the thing of the, of the whole build. And then clutter on the outside, as you've already seen me do, and then just some drain pipes. So that's nice and simple. And then this one follows the exact same process. I've just used the same build process for all three, and that's partly because I threw these together all in one, so I was able to build it as if it was just one building. So that's the bank house and those three. What do you reckon we're going to pull apart next? So the other popular request that we had was to pull apart the queue line for the Screaming Swing, because I didn't really get a chance to show it. As you can see, there's loads of trees in the way. So it's like nothing quite like hiding your successes with trees. So I'm just going to move these out of the way so I can show you. So for this one, as you're already familiar with from the episode, I wanted to use the queue line from Vortex at Thorpe Park as an inspiration point for this, in the sense that it travels through all of these bushes and everything. So that's what I wanted to do. Now I put the trees and everything in here because these are the back of the buildings. I wanted to give as much opportunity to hide those buildings from the queue line, because you're going to be stood in this area for quite some time, so you're going to be able to point out quite a lot of imperfections that are around you. So the trees are supposed to give some kind of a screen so that you can sort of stand a chance of at least being a little bit immersive. Now, so what I did here is I have placed down the queue line as you normally would do, but I always use the path options that are flattened to terrain, because it makes one of the steps a lot easier, which you'll see in a moment. And I also have the curbs off and also the railings off as well. I was like, what are they called? Yeah, so I'll always have those off, so I get a nice clean flat surface. And then I'm just going to move this one out of the way as well. And then what I've done is I've laid it down in the configuration that I want it to. So I end up with this like really janky area. And then what I do is I go around and I line a curb myself, a custom curb. But I'll only ever do the outside line. So if you can imagine like you're creating something to colour in, I don't ever curb the inside in here because it's supposed to be one concrete pad, but I would curb the outside here, and it comes down here, it comes along here, down here, and then around this way, and eventually you end up curbing all of the outside. And now you also know that I like to use a pad for my cues because it creates a pad. So if I move this down a second, you can see that I've got all of these really ugly, unsightly lines, and it just does not look real. It just does not. Even with the curbs on, it still looks a bit rubbish. So I always like to put a curb around the outside and then put some kind of pad. Now the reason that I curb around the outside is because when you do the padding, you're going to be using square pieces, but we've got curved edges, right? So this allows you to have a bit of flexibility when it comes to thinking of the colouring in analogy of being able to colour inside the lines. Like you've got a bit of a buffer zone to say, and you can see this here. I'm hoping this is going to come out in the video, that you've got this shadow and you can see that the square comes around this way and it's actually hidden from sight because of the wood that I've placed down, because of the thickness of that wood. And you'll see me do this on plazas and everything, and hiding then all of my extra edges with the mulch that comes as Thememaker's Toolkit. So that's what I'm doing here, is I'm using these edges and everything to hide the fact that the pad isn't perfect. And it's actually quite a good it's quite a good little cheat. So I do recommend that you do that. And then of course I will always custom fence my queues, because the in-game fences, they're fine, right? They're fine for just doing a real quick throw together, but when you're doing a realistic park build, you don't find fences like the ones that we've been given by Frontier. You find fences that are like this. They have a bit of style to them. They're stylized fences. And so this one is one that comes from the Thememaker's Toolkit, and I use this in Fundy Fun Spot, and I use this in like only a couple of places. I think it was on the indoor thingy ride, the shooting ride, no, not the shooting ride, the track ride, and also on one outside. So long ago, I just don't remember. It's fine, it's summer. So yeah, I've just used that, and then because this comes in two sizes, you can use the smaller, thinner one to actually create some really nice curves and some really nice bends. So that's what I've done there. Then I've put the floodlights in here just to avoid using actual lampposts, because the lampposts are quite ugly when it comes to a queue line, and when you look around a theme park, you don't always find lampposts in queues. So all I've done is I've just put some floodlights in so that you're not queuing in the pitch black. And then of course I've added in extra lights on the fronts of the ride as well, just to light up some of the area that you would find. And then these queue line bins, this is what it's called in game. I did include it as part of the package that I pulled together for the Essential MTK items, and it's also in Fundy Fun Spot. It's in Fundy Fun Spot, and it's also in Reigate Lake. So if you've got either of those park files, you'll already have these bins as well. I'm sorry, I don't know what bins they are, but if you search trash can, or I think it's trash can, you'll find these. And there's the creators made a whole load of them. Like there's a whole suite of them. So these aren't the only ones that are available. You can go and fill your boots with whatever look and feel that you want from your bins. It's the bin episode. And then at the front here, I've just put all of the usual signage, so you know that these two come from Thememaker's Toolkit. The lettering comes from Thememaker's Toolkit. I didn't do any kind of custom signing for this one. Spike, if you're watching this one, yeah, fill your boots. I'll include it. You know I will. So, do you think I should probably email him first? And then I've just put a sign together, and then the queue line sign here. I get asked about this quite a lot. These are actually custom billboards that I've created myself. So they're images that I put onto screens. And again, if you've downloaded either the Fundy Fun Spot or the Reigate Lake Park files zip file, then you'll have these already, and you can just use them for yourself. So that's the queue line for the Screaming Swing. Now, what's next? So I've got a real quick tip for you on this one, and it's all to do with this photo booth and how I get the photos. Now, I'm not going to tear the photo booth apart in this one because I did this in the extras episode for the Rapids ride. So if you're wanting to go and see how I build my Photoshops, then it's all in that episode where I tear it apart. But the one question that I get quite a lot is how I do the actual photos. It's frighteningly easy. So the first thing I do is to find the most optimum place or the most sensible place to put my ride photos. So a couple of candidates would be at the end of the first drop or at the end of something particularly exciting that happens. So the double down could be, or a really good airtime hill. Now for the wooden coaster, it would have to be somewhere that's close to the ground. You don't want to be putting your ride photo cameras like massively up in the air or attaching them to track and stuff. So I decided it's going to go in here. Now my ride photo cameras themselves, as the train goes past really loudly, the ride photo cameras themselves are made up of a lot of Thememaker's Toolkit items. So I just placed down 4 CCTV cameras because they tend to be the types of camera that you would use. A couple of beams just to give you your pillars and everything. And then you've got the flash unit that comes from Thememaker's Toolkit in here. And an electric cabinet, and then some kind of foundational stone that it can rest in, right? And then that's the actual ride camera itself. Then what I do is I'm just going to pause the game for a moment so I can show you. So when I'm ready to then take the photos for the ride photo booth, what I do is I go, I let the train get to the point where the ride photo is. So the photo would be taken around this point here, and then I go into the game, into the ride camera. I set my point of interest to the front of the train like this. Oh, look, I think that'd be a really good photo. Look at her. I don't know. She's already loving life and it's only just started. And this woman at the back's just like, get me off. This is like, just my fake smile. Sorry, we got distracted really easily. So I come into the front of the, I just can't get over it. So I come to the front of the train in the ride camera mode and I just take a screenshot. So if you've got the Steam overlay on, then you can normally just press F12, right? And that will then create a screenshot. I don't quite know how it would work on console. I'm sorry, I don't play on console, so I can't advise on that one. But then when I'm ready to do the next row, I then press the right arrow, and then it takes me back a row, and I take another screenshot. And then I go right arrow, take a screenshot, and then right arrow, take a screenshot, and then that then saves into your screenshots folder in Steam. And then all you do is you import those into your custom media setting, so you know where you put your music and your other photos and everything. You then import that into the game, and then you can use those in the screens. So if I go back to, I can unpause this now and go back into the Photoshop. There we go. And then into this one. So you can now see that you can go to image and you go to user interface. So you're going to want to reset it, by the way, to refresh it. So you're going to put all of your images into your user media folder. You refresh it, and then you've got all of them here to use. And actually I've got like hundreds because I've been doing this ever since I did Reigate Lake. So if we change that one, that's the Reigate Lake Woodie. That's Tapio. And then we've got these ones here. Oh, that was from Relight My Ride when I did the Arrow Coaster. So you can see my whole catalogue goes right the way back. So anyway, that's how I do the ride photos. That's how I get those into game. So what's next? So let's go ahead and talk about the bane of our existence: custom supporting on a wooden coaster. So we already know then that the custom supports on a wooden coaster can be a little bit challenging. The custom supports that come with the wooden coasters in game are actually relatively good, but they're not perfect. And just in case you were wondering, I mentioned it in the main video that I didn't know if I was going to put custom supports here. Spoiler alert, I did. So yeah, but I didn't point that out in the last video, and I completely forgot. So yes, I did put those in. The reason for that is that the train would still be swaying and causing some kind of laterals through this bend and this bend here, so it felt like this needed to have some kind of support here. Anyway, let's talk about how these are put together and how these are built. So you'll see that this is just a building that I've placed together. So it makes it easier to actually edit it and control it if you do it as a building rather than as individual pieces. Now, we talked about the theory of the shaping and everything, so I'm not going to go through all that. We did that in the main episode, right? I'm actually going to show you how I did it. So I always take myself a pillar, and it's always, for the wooden coaster, it's always either going to be the haunted house pillar, or it's going to be the western pillar that comes with it, the beam that comes with it. So I then like to have my angle snap on for the most part, and then I go to align to surface, and you can see that this does have an element of snapping to a surface. So you've kind of got that, like here, it will kind of allow you. And then all I do is I put my advanced move on once I've lined it up, and then line it up to the actual beam as well that you're wanting it to connect to, and then you place one. And then you take another one, and this is really time consuming, by the way. I'm not even going to lie to make friends. This is... You get used to it, right? So you sort of go into a bit of a mind dead state and you just go, I'm just going to blindly do this, and I'm just going to chill out and go for it. You don't have to place it every time if you didn't want to, because now it's at the right height. You could actually take your angle snap off, move it round, and move it into place, right? So it's completely up to you how you do it. You're going to find your own methods and your own ways of placing these beams. And like I say, don't underestimate just how long this is going to take you. And it's for this reason that I decided not to do the entire thing as a custom support. I mean, I know there are people out there that would do that, but can you imagine? It would take me weeks to do an episode, and given that I was already out for 48 hours, it's not going to happen. So once I've done that, I've then just added all of these into one building, so it's now controllable. I can now select the pieces, and if you've got a nice smooth round curve, you can actually do 4 pieces and then move it around, and then place those in the right place. Now this is probably a bad curve to use because it's on an incline, so this actual thing, this horizontal beam actually just moves, right? So it's at the same height now, you can see. But anyway, so you can do it that way, right? That's what I'm trying to say, is if you've got a smooth curve, you don't have to place one by one. You can place a batch of them and then copy and paste the batch, and you just keep going around, and you can edit these as you need to. Now, the next thing then that I did was put my angle snap back on, and then advanced move, and then bring this down like this. Then you do the next one, and you bring it down like this, and then this one, you bring it down, and so you get the picture. And then when you're ready for the horizontal supports, then all you do is you take one of your supports, you copy it, you bring it up so it's at 90 degrees, and then you bring it down to the level that you want. Now for this one, because of the distance, you're probably not going to want the full 4 meter beam. You're actually going to want to bring it down and have either the 2 meter or the 1 meter. And this is why I like to use these beams, because they come in 3 variants, 4 meters, 2 meters and 1 meter. So you just have like a little bit more control over the sizing and the width and everything. And so then you just take the angle snap off and you move this around this way, and then place this one there. And now you've got a connection, right? And then when you're ready to do the diagonal brace, you take those 2 that you then just placed, you copy those, you then bring this up this way, and then you have to sort of wrestle it into place. And this is where you need some patience. There are some other ways that you can do it. You can copy this one and use that as, so you can copy this one, change it down to 2, and you can move it around like that way. And then you just do the same method that you did here, right? So there's a couple of ways that you can do it. Now, what I ended up doing for most of these is having one that was about the right width, and then just taking the 2 like this. Actually, I'll show you on this one. It's probably easier. Taking the 2 like this, and rather than using the advanced move, I just use the normal duplicate. So I've got this, and then rotate it round and pop it into place when I'm ready. So advanced move there, and pop it into place there, and that's purely because it maintains the same angle, it maintains the same slope, it maintains the same everything that you want. You just need to place it where it's needed, and then it still connects and everything. So guys, that's absolutely everything that I wanted to show you in this episode. So thank you so much for getting to the end of it. I really do appreciate you guys coming along. And of course, we're going to be doing another episode of ChachoLandia on Sunday. So I will see you for then. If you found this helpful, then please leave a like and a comment. That absolutely helps our channel to find new audiences and to bring new people on board and to say hi to some new friendly faces. So thank you so much. I will see you on Sunday. Until we speak again, please look after yourselves. Take care. Bye-bye.